All right. On to signing day,
Mhm.
Colin.
Mhm, mhm.
For those watching on YouTube, go check out the basketball video if you haven't already. This is we're not gonna get into the super nitty gritty. I don't think. We want to speak more in generals until signing day happens, and then we can figure out the rankings and whatnot. At this moment, North Texas is currently ranked fourth on 24/7's ranked class rankings, behind USF, East Carolina, and FAU. They have 21 commits, which plays a part in that because all the teams below them have less than 21 commits. Tulane has 9, UTSA has 8, Rice has 9, UAB has 8, Memphis has 17. So, the numbers do play a factor in that, but their average is also relatively high as well, 84.13 on 24/7. Um, so that's a good rating, as far as average rating to have. That puts you comparable to, like, a Memphis and, UAB, and UTSA is at 85. Rice is at 84 average as well. So overall, I feel good. We can talk a little bit about the transfers as well.
Yeah.
I know we hit on them last time, and this time they've added even more. Um, so yeah, where do you want to start? What are you thinking?
I think we should start where everyone's been starting on Twitter, especially is the offensive line. They have reloaded this thing. You got Landon Peterson, you got Jasper Lott. I think those two guys right away instantly kind of put you back to where you were, and then you add Justice. I don't know how to say his last name.
Guillory,
Guillory.
Guillory, yeah.
So you get three guys, you get three linemen,
No, they're
and
fourth. Johnny Dickinson from Virginia Tech.
did I just miss that one? Oh
Yeah,
yeah, at the top there. Yeah, Johnny Dickinson, 88 overall out of high school, who's transferring from Virginia Tech. Um, yeah, you reload this offensive line, and we talked about this last podcast. Is we weren't we the offensive line was definitely a strength, but it definitely had you know,
moments.
shaky moments, especially because it was so used to being a run first offensive line instead of a pass protecting offensive line. So you bring in four guys, you bring back Jet Duncan, or no, yeah, Jet
Yeah,
Duncan and Gabe Blair. Um, I think that number one is in a great spot for whatever quarterback you bring in. And then we could get into BJ Allen Jr. from Texas, the safety, and I mean you get two guys from Texas really, Xavier Bryce and BJ Allen. Um, that you hopefully hope shore up some of those defensive problems. But I think so far they've done a really good job in the transfer portal.
yeah. The portal's been, and I think they'll get more. They're up to 10 right now. You mentioned the offensive lineman. I do think there is something to be said. Like early in the season, we talked about how the offensive line looked like they were trying to learn how to pass protect.
Yeah.
And to their credit, I think they learned that very well. Like they did, they ended the year really strong. But now you get to kind of handpick your players on the offensive line a bit more, and you also, the reason I have faith in these guys being better than um transfer portal offensive line is adding a whole starting offensive line from the transfer portal is a concern to a degree. Ideally, you'd like to build from the ground up, as we've seen with like Gabe Blair and Jet Duncan and whatnot. But at the same time, Morris and new coaching staffs across the country do not have that type of luxury to just be like, hey, we're going to take our time and do this.
Yeah.
Coming off of the year they just had, you want to try to maintain that and sustain that. And with that in mind, I love these pickups. And the reason I have a lot of optimism here is because you were able to pitch in the portal, hey, you can come in and potentially start right away. That's a big giveaway to me, is when you have the ability to pitch starting time like right off the bat in college football right now, you're able to get much better players than if you say, hey, well, like for instance, if they had still had, let's say, Macklin and Cleveland or whatnot, and they still had like a really, really talented receiver room, and you're trying to get a receiver in the portal, your options are going to be limited because they're going to look at it and be like, well, you still have Macklin and you have Sides and you have Cleveland and all these guys. Well, how am I going to fit in there?
Yeah.
Now Macklin's not there, and I understand they haven't gotten a receiver yet, but like you can go to the portal and be like, hey, we need receiver talent. Come play for us. it's the same thing with the offense line right now. Is if they had returned Mareka or whoever else, then it might be hard to get offensive linemen. But now that you have open starting spots, now you can come in and convince better players to come play for you. Because
Yep.
honestly, 80% of the portal, if not 90% of the portal, if not 95% of the portal, is just looking to get on the damn field.
Yep.
That's all they're looking for. And that's the case, I think, with BJ Allen from Texas, who spent 2 years at Texas, didn't really get run there for whatever reason. I looked into it and I said this last podcast, I think I said this last podcast, I didn't really want um,
Nick
players who
Harvey.
had, what was it?
You didn't want a Nick Harvey.
Yeah, I didn't want injury and players who had suffered injuries, or at least like season-ending injuries and type stuff, or that are dropping down. It didn't look like BJ Allen had any. So if we're talking about a guy who maybe just didn't live up to expectations, well, you're in luck, BJ Allen, because North Texas expectations are quite low right now.
Yeah.
Quite low on the defense. So yeah, that's my whole thing is. Oh, and they have added a receiver. I'm sorry, Dalton Carnes.
I don't know.
So they did add a receiver, and they did add Oscar Hammond again, position of need, tight end. Zach Evans, position of need, running back right now. JJ John Lewis, linebacker, position of need. Xavion Bryce, cornerback, definitely a position of need. So these are all positions of need right now, and I know there's a lot of positions of need on this team. But I do like the transfer portal haul that they have so far, and I think they'll continue to add to it. Freshman class wise, I think honestly they'll get to more right now. They're at 21. And the funny part to me is they could add like 30 freshmen and 15 transfers and still be perfectly fine. Not even close to the 85-man cap that
That's crazy.
that they're going to be facing. It is crazy right now. But yeah, if they end the cycle top 4 in the American, that's exactly what we were asking for, isn't it?
I mean, shoot top half for me. I'd be fine.
Yeah.
But no,
So
top 4 is great.
top 4 potentially. If you add 25 plus freshmen, I'm fine with it. This is You don't want this to be a yearly thing, obviously, with the transfer portal departures, and we've talked about that at length. But I think a reasonable number every single year is going to be like you're going to have to take full classes of freshmen, 22 to 28 every year. And then transfer portal wise, you're going to have to take in the 10 to 12 range, 10
Yep.
to 12 to maybe even more, depending on the year. Like that's the type of turnover you're going to have on a yearly basis. It's
Yeah.
kind of just the reality.
But it's good that we're seeing that. Well, I guess we need to see it play out, but that Eric Morris is able to recruit that well, though. If it does happen to become a yearly thing or it's a revolving door.
I trust this staff, and we talked about it last podcast as well, is recruiting locally to a degree and recruiting especially Texas talent, but DFW talent. Um, you look at the players they have committed right now.
Mm-hmm.
Argyle, they have Denton Braswell. I believe they have 2 Argyle guys, if I'm not mistaken, but I can scroll down. But North Crowley out of Florida. I'm sorry, out of Fort Worth. Sorry, Capel, South Oak Cliff, which we've already talked. They have a couple guys on this team that are from South Oak Cliff. So a lot of Texas ties, a lot of Houston, Austin, Dallas. So I feel good about that. And then, like I said, the portal kind of determines your floor to a degree. Like, can you replace the players that you lost and just be serviceable
Right.
in those spots? All right. Anything else? Anything else? I'm
I
trying to
don't think
think.
so. I just am waiting for them to get a quarterback. I'm just trying to see if there's anybody in the portal.
That's what I was gonna bring up. The quarterback
Yeah.
position is
Yeah.
who can they go get from the portal? It's Let me pull up.
Because a lot of them are starting to get picked up.
Bring Stone Earl back.
Bring Stone Earl back is the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life.
There's a lot of them are starting to commit. Let's see. Let me scroll down. East Carolina got a quarterback from Michigan State. Coastal Carolina got a quarterback from Michigan State. Charlotte got a quarterback from Florida. Utah State got Petrus from Iowa. Robbie Ashford from Auburn just entered. I still think there's a lot of names here. There's a lot of players here that I mentioned. Ben Finley from Cal, Robbie Ashford from Auburn, who I watched. Jeff Sims from Nebraska. I'm not too worried at this moment of not getting a quarterback. There's just so many in the freaking portal right now.
There are a lot. It is kind of crazy, actually.
And I do think they have I think he's still swinging for a big time player in the portal from the quarterback position.
So
I'm not saying
you think he's gonna try to go for a guy that he can turn into
Chandler Rogers.
Chandler Rogers, Cam Ward?
Yeah. Cam Ward is now he was the number 1 overall player in the portal, wasn't he? I think. Oh no,
He's
I'm
number
sorry.
two.
Two. Number 2 overall player in the portal. So, yeah, he's gonna look for the player that feels it's insane right now. You think about it. Coaches are having to watch film on all these guys
I know.
to figure out which one they want.
Or
Morris
reach
is
into
probably
their bag of high school guys that they couldn't get.
yeah. Like Morris is probably up watching film till like 3 a.m. trying to figure out who can play and who can't.
It's crazy.
Like, is Jerry Bohannon any good? Is Robbie Ashford good? Is Kai Horton from Tulane good? Like, these are all players that I've watched a little bit, and it's like I don't know. I can't tell you if they would be good in your system, in 1 or 2 years on the field. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting proposition. I'm not sure exactly when we'll hear something, but I still feel good about the quarterback position and like the players that are available at this moment. So we don't have to panic too much. Not too much. All right, later in the week we're gonna bring on JD Davis. He's been all over the recruiting trail, all over the transfer portal. Does the best job of anybody in terms of recruiting, in terms of just covering the team. So check him out. It's a free ad for you, JD. So you're welcome. But yeah, we'll get him on the podcast later on to talk everything North Texas recruiting. And yeah, that's all we got for y'all today. Anything else, Colin? You got any plans for work?
Drink another Red Bull and I guess stay up. Normally I don't wake up till about 11, so
I know. Thank you for getting on to do this podcast
I know I had to for you.
early in the morning. It's a busy week. Signing day is a busy week for me. So thank you for being flexible. When's the next basketball game?
UT Arlington, I think, is on
Saturday. That's what
Saturday.
I
Yeah.
heard. Ross got these boys playing the 2 days before Christmas.
Hey, maybe they need it.
They do need it. They do need it. All right, Colin. I think we've gotten our dosage of fame for the day.
Yeah.
And we can move on with our lives. So yeah, thank y'all for joining us. Leave us a like, comment, share, subscribe, leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you are listening, and we will talk to y'all later.